Hey, welcome to the Straight Sports Podcast. We're your host Joshua, and
Tushar.
in this podcast, we give our opinions on our favorite sports, which are basketball, soccer, and wrestling.
Let's dive into the topics. Today we're only going to talk about, the play-in and our first round playoff predictions. Soccer and wrestling, we will talk about that in the following episode. This is a basketball play-in and playoff special. So the NBA postseason has officially begun. Topic number 1. So first, we will review the NBA play-in games and give our reactions on each of the games. All right, so the first play-in game we had 7-seeded Brooklyn Nets versus the 8-seeded Cleveland Cavaliers, and the Brooklyn Nets won 115 to 108. So what are your reactions to that game, Josh?
Well, I thought it was a pretty good game, entertaining. As two competitive teams that really are pretty much fighting for the chance in the playoffs. I think both teams, really gave it their all. It was pretty entertaining to watch. Kyrie, 34 points. KD, 25 points, 11 assists. I mean,
Kyrie was very efficient.
yeah, like what more could you ask from the best duo in the league, arguably? And I think they came through, they showed up, and they showed why they deserve to be in the playoffs, which I thought they'd be anyway. I mean,
But Cavs showed a lot of heart, though.
yeah, they did. Now they're going to play the Boston Celtics, and we'll talk about that later. But I think the Nets did what they had to do, and they locked in and got the win.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think the bottom line is they was at home. They have a dynamic duo that's the best in the league. Star power wins, and they had the star power. They had Kyrie, KD. Kyrie was phenomenal, 34 points. He's super efficient. He was 80% from the field, 50% from the three. I mean, he was phenomenal. Kevin Durant showing that he's a willing passer. He doesn't get a lot of credit for his passing skills. Had 11 assists. Even that game, Indiana, their last regular season game. I mean, they played in Brooklyn against Indiana. He had like 16
Yeah,
assists. And then looking at the Cavs side, a young team that's grown up, Garland, in the big stage, going for 34. I mean, I love the addition of Rondo, everybody just chipping in, and they played great. But the bottom line, they just lost to a team that just had a little more talent. And like I say, sometimes superstars win you games, and that's exactly what happened with the Brooklyn Nets. So the next play-in matchup that we had was the 9 seed Atlanta Hawks versus the 10 seed Charlotte Hornets, and the Atlanta Hawks won easily, 132 to 103. So what are your thoughts on that game?
entertaining game to say the least. I mean, LaMelo Ball. I mean, come on, 28% from the field. I mean, that's not good enough for your star. I mean, yeah, he had 26 points, but on how many shots? Like, it's not good enough. Miles Bridges ejected from the game. I've seen that. I feel like they're a good young team, but I feel like they just let the emotions get the best man at the end of the game. The Hawks did what they had to do. Trae Young put up a big performance like he does, consistent. And I think he had hope. The rest of the team showed up and they rightfully advanced.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think the game was a little close in the beginning, but then the Atlanta Hawks just proved they were just a better team. Obviously, Charlotte was in this position last season. The 10th seed lost to Indiana. A little deja vu for them. Definitely, they wanted to improve, but they're a good team. They're a really young team. I think sooner or later they'll be in the playoffs, but it's a learning experience. They're a young team, like I said, and then the Atlanta Hawks, Trae Young, he's a superstar. I mean, 24 points, 11 assists, top in scoring, top in assist, and yeah, he had help. Obviously, you have DeAndre Hunter gave him 22, and Bogdanovich gave 13. I mean, Clint Capella gave you 15 and 17 rebounds. Wow. So, um, yeah, it was just a good win by Atlanta. They just, they were the better team, and they came out and played great basketball, and they protected home court as you should do. So, moving into the last playing game for the Eastern Conference in the NBA, we had the 8-seeded Cleveland Cavaliers versus the 9-seeded Atlanta Hawks. For the winner gets the 8 seed, and the Atlanta Hawks won the game 107 to 101. So what are your thoughts on that game?
Yeah, this was a pretty good game. I mean, Clint Capella did go down, but the Hawks still managed to pull away with the win.
Yeah,
Trae
it was a
Young, big
very
performance.
unfortunate injury. We saw that. It was a very
Yeah,
gruesome injury, but hopefully it gets better soon.
yeah. Trae Young, 38 points, 9 assists, 52% from the field. I mean, that's a superstar
Magical.
performance right there. Showed
Magical.
up in the biggest
Clutch in the
moments.
fourth.
Yeah, locked
Just
in,
that's where you're
clutch.
built in the fourth quarter against a Cavs team that really wanted to be in the playoffs post
Yeah,
LeBron era.
had a lot of help from his team. Gallinari stepped up, Herter stepped up, Bogdanovich stepped up. I mean, everyone played their role and they just locked in. As for the Cavs, I mean, Laurie Marketing, 26 points. Darius Garland, 21 points, 9 assists. They played their hardest, I think, and they were just beat by an Atlanta team that just couldn't be stopped. I mean, they were getting anything they wanted pretty much on the offensive side of the ball, and I just feel like the Cavs just need to take this in stride. Their young team didn't have much playoff experience outside of Kevin Love, Rondo, and I feel like they can build off of this, and they'll get better. And I feel like they'll be in the playoffs next year again.
Yeah, kind of looking at this game, I think Atlanta has a little more experience. The inexperience came for Cleveland. Obviously, they were home and they really wanted to be there, but Jared Allen's got to give respects. Obviously he wasn't 100% probably, and he came
Yeah,
and pushed for this game. He wanted to give a chance for the Cavs, but the Cavs struggled without Jared Allen. They were really bad. They're still a great team, but without Allen, you saw the impact. They were literally like third or fourth, and they dropped to literally the play-in. So, Jared Allen's a huge piece for them. Garland, I know he struggled a bit. But you learn from these situations, and he's gonna get better. He's a star in the makings, in my opinion.
yeah,
He's already a star. Marketing was phenomenal. 6 for 12 from the three, 26 points. Evan Mobley was great. Allen, for I understand. Like I said, coming off an injury, literally played, and he had 11 points. I mean, he still did great. Karis LeVert, he played great. Um, but yeah, at the end of the day, they lost. It was a crazy swing game. I think the Cavs are actually winning majority of the game, and then Clint Capella goes down, so you'd probably think the Cavs probably going to win. And the Atlanta Hawks came back, and they prove even through adversity they get it done. And then Trae Young, just magical. What else can you say? He's a magical player, superstar caliber player, and he just won the game. Superstars win games, and that's exactly what happened. But the Cavs should not be disappointed. They had a great season. They overachieved. JB Bickerstaff did a great job. I'm telling you, next season, this team definitely will be in the playoffs very soon. It's very unfortunate they had to miss it in this kind of case. One game
yeah.
determining your future. So moving on to the Western Conference play-in, we have the 7-seeded Minnesota Timberwolves versus the 8-seeded Los Angeles Clippers, and the Minnesota Timberwolves won 109-104. So what are your reactions to that game?
I mean, honestly, yeah, it's a tough loss for the Clippers. Honestly, Paul George balled out, 34 points.
Oh,
Morris helped, 12 points. Powell, 16 points. I mean, it's just tough. I mean, I feel like they played really, really well. They just couldn't get the job done. Anthony Edwards, 30 points. D'Angelo Russell, 29. And with Karl Anthony Towns getting fouled out, I thought that would be, you guys' chance to, take the win, but it turned out not to be the case. Anthony Edwards played amazing in the final minutes of the game. A tough loss for the Clippers, and I really want to hear your reaction to this.
well, obviously, as a Clippers fan, I had a chance to, compete for that uh, 7th seed and go into Minneapolis with PG. And we was up 10 going in the fourth quarter, but we blew that lead. But, honestly, if you told me that Paul George was going to drop 34 and the Cat was going to play really bad, I mean, what was he? 3 for 11 from the field, 11 points and negative 14 on the field. You were going to tell me that he was going to play that bad? I would say we win the ball game. We didn't because the Timberwolves got talent. Anthony Edwards came to ball, 10 for 21, 47.6% from the field, 5 for 11 from the three, 45.5% from three, 30 points, like I said. And then D'Lo came out to ball, gave them 29 points and had 6 assists. So it was a tough loss. Obviously, Paul George did phenomenal, but the bottom line is Timberwolves were at home. They had a lot of talent. Obviously, Patrick Beverly, former Clipper, had a lot to say.
Yeah,
Um, but the Timberwolves would deserve to win that game. They was home, and you got to give credit. Cat was bad, and he knows that probably. But D'Lo and Anthony Edwards were really good, and this is a good win. A young team going out and beating a veteran team. But the bottom line is, I think the home court gave them the swing, and once they kind of got back into the game, it was kind of hard for the Clippers to keep that momentum. But it was a great game. Paul George was phenomenal. Playoff P, that's a real thing, or you can call him play-in P, which I was hearing as well. But he played great. It is what it is. Obviously, I wish the Clippers would have won that game, but it was a great game. We had the chance, and Minnesota really came to play. And Anthony Edwards and proved that he's a star, and D'Lo proved he's a star. And this is a good young team with a lot of talent. All right, so moving on. I guess it's my turn to laugh. We have the 9th-seeded New Orleans Pelicans versus the 10th-seeded San Antonio Spurs, and the New Orleans Pelicans won 113-103. So, Josh, I want to hear your reactions before you speak. The guy who claimed that the San Antonio Spurs would be in the playoffs. You can go ahead. The floor is yours.
Honestly, I'm embarrassed. What I seen in that game,
Hmm.
it was really hard to watch. DeJounte Murray brick after brick, Keldon Johnson brick after brick. I believe he went 0 for 7 in the first half, Keldon Johnson. Like, at some point, you got to start passing the ball, man. Like, I'm seeing these shots go. I'm thinking, please hit one, please hit one. They're missing all these shots. Like, look at this. He shot 26% from the field, DeJounte Murray. Keldon Johnson shot 30% from the field. Keldon had 15 points. DeJounte had 16 points. I'm sorry, but that's not it, bro. Like, that's not good enough. DeJounte Murray, he's our future. He's our best player, yes. But in these big moments, you have to step up. He choked. Straight up. He choked. Keldon Johnson, I mean,
Vassell played good, though.
yeah, Vassell stepped up great. But arguably the two biggest players on the team, they both choked. You can't do that. Shot horribly, and they still kept chucking up shots. Get the ball involved, get other players around. You see you're ice cold, give up the ball. And it was just sad to watch because the game, and even with all this misses, we only lost by 10 points. So imagine if, like it's really just tough. But I didn't expect Vassell to play as well as he did. I mean, proud of him. Congrats. You stepped up, you showed up. Sadly, the rest of the team could not follow suit, and we're out. So
Sorry for
tough.
laughing, but this is funny what you said in the beginning of the season. I guess Joshua, you weren't the truth teller that you say you proclaim that you are. But obviously, San Antonio has. I think the bottom line is, like I always say, sometimes they have a star, and his name is DeJounte Murray, and he didn't show up. And that's okay as a young star who's, I think this is one of the first times been in the situation as the man of the team. He played bad, and you learn from the experience. He was in foul trouble from the jump.
Yeah.
He played bad. I think he knows that. You got to give credit to a guy like Vassell really came to play. Johnson struggled. I mean, 6 for 20, only had 15 points. Jakob Poeltl, I mean, I got nothing but praise for him. He's always been great for the Spurs. But bottom line is obviously they lost, and DeJounte Murray didn't play good, and he's going to own up to it. He's a star in this league. He averaged the most steals this season. Most improved player candidate. But you got to give credit to the San Antonio Spurs. They're a good team, obviously. But bottom line is they lost because of DeJounte Murray struggles. It is what it is. It's unfortunate. Trust me, it is. But sorry for you, Josh. I feel bad. But don't worry, bro.
Yeah.
They'll be back next season. But bottom line is DeJounte Murray struggles. I'm not going to be too harsh on him. This is his first time in this kind of pressure situation. He's going to be better. He's an all-star. Don't worry about it, Josh. But LOL, bro. Spurs tape, right? Clippers.
Yeah, Clippers next up.
All right. Last game of the night for the play-in in the West. We have the 8th-seeded Los Angeles Clippers versus the 9th-seeded New Orleans Pelicans. The Los Angeles Clippers lost the game to the Pelicans 105-101. What are your reactions to the game, Joshua?
I'm not gonna be too hard because the game was close. Like, actually.
Paul George news was very devastating as well. That he wasn't able to play because he tested positive for COVID, and hope you recover soon, PG, and excited to see what you do next season.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
Batum, big minutes. I mean, I think he was arguably one of the most important players on the floor
Most
at
key
times.
player. Brandon Ingram, oh my goodness.
Reggie
Sauced my
Jackson,
team.
27.
Thank you, Reggie, for
Marcus
showing
Morris,
up.
27. I mean, what more can you ask? I mean, they both stepped up with Paul George's absence. And what it came down to, I think, was just, I don't know, maybe, I really don't know. Maybe you can, like, shed some light on it. But, like, Ingram played great. McCollum, good performance again. I mean, it's tough. I mean, I did pick them. I did really have you, going out to the Pelicans. Initially, I didn't predict, it was be Spurs that would knock you out. But, yeah, I mean, I guess we're both out now. So, I mean, yeah. So what's your take on it?
I'm surprised you didn't clown me as much as maybe you should have. But the bottom line is I'm very devastated. Obviously, we're literally recording this after the Clippers lost.
Yeah.
I'm not very happy. You heard my live reactions over the phone. I know you called me for that reason. So I'm disappointed, obviously. I think, like I said, the Paul George news was very devastating. He tested positive for COVID. And then Luke Kennard can't play. Kawhi Leonard's been out all season long. But I just want to praise the Clippers. This has been an incredible season. Been through so much adversity. Reggie Jackson played. He showed up. Marcus Morris Sr. came to play. In the beginning, you see a lot of swings in the game. The New Orleans Pelicans were dominating us in the first half. They were up 15 points. And after that, I mean, then the Clippers, even how bad they played, they were only down 10 and a half. Ty Lue, best adjustment coach out there. Can't deny it. Makes a change. Goes small ball. Has Covington, Nick Batum, Morris, Reggie, and Terrence Mann. it changed the whole game. We were literally up like 11. Nick Batum was getting into Brandon Ingram. And Brandon Ingram was getting frustrated because Brandon Ingram cooked us in the first half. And then after that, we're up. You think the Clippers are in control? Then don't sleep on them pals. CJ McCollum has been a big asset to this team. And Brandon Ingram came to play. He dropped 30. He was clutch, and they came back. And then bottom, it came down to close stretches. And Pelicans are a very young team. Their young players came to play. They really were really good. They hitting big shots. Brandon Ingram, you got to give credit to the Pels. They really do deserve it. Obviously, when we talk about the play-in, obviously they're 13 games, like potentially under 500, and they still made it. I don't want to be hypocritical of it because if the Clippers were 10 seed, probably want them to make it as well. So obviously
Yeah,
it does suck. They were over 500. They played great all season, but it's a tournament. Give the credits to the Pelicans. They won. Obviously, you heard the news of Paul George not being there. Clippers still came and performed, and they literally had a chance to win the game, but they lost. And it is what it is. I'm very sad, Joshua. Um, it is what it is. We both, like I said, you almost called it. The Spurs were very close to eliminating, but
yeah,
like I said, I don't want to sound hypocritical again. But if Paul George was there, the Clippers would have won. Straight up.
I
Nobody can
agree.
debate that. And it is what it is, man. I'm not very happy. I'm not enthusiasm as I usually are when we talk about on this podcast because our
Yeah,
season is over, but I'm very excited for next season. I hope we could re-sign Nick Batum and Robert Covington because Robert Covington was so great for us defensively. We have a lot of great wing players, and Ty Lue did a phenomenal job. I know we didn't make the playoffs, but he really should be a coach of the year candidate. What he's been able to do with
I
that
agree.
little, with that talent, has been incredible, and I think this is going to make us better in the long run. All this talent has now got better because they had to play these type of critical roles to our team's success. And next season, adding 2 elite players back into the lineup, it's going to be scary. But obviously, you got to make the adjustment work. And obviously, I'm feel real for PG because he definitely wanted to be there. He couldn't, man. Proud of my team, Clippers. I'm nothing always but love. With these Clippers came out to play, and all you ask for, you compete and you show heart, and that's exactly what they did. Down 16, now we ain't quitting. Just love what Ty Lue's invest in this team. Shout out to the Clippers. Thank you for a great season. All right, so topic number 2. We will review each first round matchup and discuss who we think will win and advance to the second round. So we will start with the Eastern Conference. So the number 1 seed Miami Heat versus the number 8 seed Atlanta Hawks. Who you got?
I think that this could be a pretty entertaining series. I mean, the Heat, as well-rounded as they
And
are,
yeah, and the status of Clint Capella might be questionable
true.
now, right? But
Yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
So taking that in mind, with Capella being out, the Hawks, they're a good team, but they're not the team that went to the conference finals, if that makes sense. Like
Yeah,
something off about them, they're not really the same. John Collins isn't there as well.
yeah,
So,
that's actually another blow. Yeah.
so with that being said, I'm gonna go. I mean, I'll give them their respect. I'll say Heat in 5.
Okay. I think it's gonna be a good series because bottom line is they got Trey Young and he lives for these moments. What did he do against the Knicks last season? Shout out to Danny. I hope you're having a great day. He literally won the game. Oh my goodness. Literally won the series. Not by himself. His team did great, but he was clutch. He literally had huge games. And that's what he can do. You saw what he did against the Cavs.
Yep,
He lives for these moments. It's a big market in
big game
Miami.
player.
He lives for those big moments. Oh man. Ice Trey, but I'm gonna go with the Heat in 6. Obviously, I think the Heat just are an overall better team. They're number 1 for a reason. They have great depth, but I'm not gonna disrespect anybody in the Heat. But I think Trey Young is the best player in that series, and if he could ball out, this gonna be a very competitive series. Again, no disrespect to Jimmy, he's phenomenal, but Trey Young is special.
Yeah,
Trey Young and the Hawks can win 2 games series, but the bottom line is they obviously are missing some key pieces, or else maybe it could have been pushed maybe to 7. But I'm gonna stick Heat in 6. The number 1 seed, the Hawks are missing some pieces, but Trey Young is special. Don't count out the Hawks. The second seeded Celtics versus the 7 seeded Nets. Who you got, Josh?
this is gonna be a tough series, I think, because the Celtics are coming to this as the number 1 defense, and the Nets are a pretty good offense. So I think this will be a pretty fun match to watch. And I think it'll come down to, I hate to say star power, but you know how deep the Celtics are, and the Nets are pretty. They're not thin, but they're not as deep. And I think it'll come down to, like I said, star power and just coaching. And I think, no offense to Steve Nash, but I think Udoka is like miles ahead as a coach. But I do think, with that being said, that the Nets will take the series. I'm teetering between 6 and 7 games. But I know the Celtics are no slouches and they'll put up a big fight. But I'm saying Nets in 6 or 7, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Celtics even win the series. It would be amazing to do. It would be a feat, but like I said, I'm going with the Nets in 6 or 7. I haven't fully decided yet, but one of the two.
I think this is going to be a really good series. As we know, Ben Simmons might come back in game 4, but the likelihood of
Yeah,
him coming back is very slim. And I don't know if that's going to have a huge impact on this series. A guy who hasn't played for over a year. Um, the Celtics obviously are missing Robert Williams. He might come back in the first round. There's maybe a chance he won't. Robert Williams is a huge impact on this team, by the way.
yeah, he
But
is.
Celtics have number one defense. Adoka's been doing a phenomenal job. They had a bad start and they've been rising up. And the one thing I respected a lot of teams, the Bucks, they rest their players and they got third. And the Celtics did win their game. If they wanted to, they could have avoided this.
Yeah,
In my sense, they want all the smoke. They're not scared, and I really do appreciate that. But I'm gonna go with the Nets in 7. I think this is gonna be a
mm,
phenomenal series. I just think if you play a game 7 against KD, Kyrie, when it comes to clutchness, to the guys. I'm not saying Tatum and Brown are not clutch, but those other two guys, they've been in big situations. We know Kyrie game 7 in the finals 2016 with the Cavs. KD's had many instances with the Warriors. So I think this is going to be a great series, but the bottom line is star power will win. And as long as the Nets can play average defense, they do not have to play
yeah,
elite defense. If they can play average of defense, like in the middle of those teams, I think they will win the series in 7. This is going to be a very difficult series because the Celtics are no joke. But I'm
yep,
going with the Nets. At the end of the day, they got two better stars. This is the
I
best
agree.
dynamic duo right now.
True.
So moving on, we have the third seeded Milwaukee Bucks versus the 6th seeded Chicago Bulls. I don't even think this is going to be take too long, but go ahead.
Yeah, like no disrespect to the Chicago fans. You had a good season. I know you were plagued with injuries, and you're probably thinking about what could have been, but we're dealing with what is here now, the actuality. And I believe that the Milwaukee Bucks will sweep the Chicago Bulls in the first round. And I don't think it'll be too tough for them. DeRozan will obviously, I think, will put up his numbers, but I think ultimately the combination of Giannis, Middleton, Drew Holiday, the other supporting cast, and just the solid team that Milwaukee is will overcome the Chicago Bulls, and I think it'll be. I mean, obviously the games will be entertaining, but I feel like it'll be a pretty, quick series in that sense. What do you think?
I mean, I picked the same winner. I'm going to go with the Bucks in 5 games. I think the
Mm,
Bulls will win 1 game in this series. I think that is the greatness of DeMar DeRozan.
yeah,
He's proven that he played at an MVP level this season, in that top 10 tier of like just showing up. Came to Chicago, and he balled out. Obviously, I feel like the Lonzo injury was huge for them because they were number
yeah,
one and they had great defense, and they just fell. They just fell all the way to the bottom. Lonzo's out. Alex Caruso is a bigger piece than it looked like. Zach LaVine has been in and out. DeRozan's been the one guy who's been there consistently. They have Vucevic, but I just think next season they can definitely contend. I assume Zach LaVine will resign. But yeah, I just think
I think so
the
too.
Bucks are the defending champions. They've been here. They have home court. I just think this is going to be an easier series because also the Bucks have struggled against the top teams in the East. Their record, I don't know, like 1-15. I think the Bucks will win in 5. I do think 1 game, DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine will get 1 game. So I'm going Bucks in 5. Moving on, I think this might be one of the more tougher series. The 4th seeded Philadelphia 76ers versus the 5th seeded Toronto Raptors. And as we know, Matisse Thybulle cannot play in Toronto.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's gonna be a big blow. He's their best defensive player, and I think it's best perimeter defensive player, I should say.
Mhm.
And I think it'll be tough because he has to stop. Well, he was supposed to stop, contain Fred VanVleet and the likes of the other wing players and guard players on the team, but he can't play. You know how much of a terror on defensively Toronto can be with, their size and their switchability, with Scotty Barnes, who I think should win Rookie of the Year. I mean, that's up for debate, but I think he's going to be harassing James Harden for the whole series. And I think I mean, I don't even want to think about this being a possibility of the Sixers getting out in the first round because I don't want to entertain that.
I think this is one of the
But
bad matchups that we can talk.
yeah, I think there's a really bad matchup. I think Harden has to step it up. Like he has to put on a show. Like he has to. Not I'm not gonna say be like, oh, Harden, because it's not like possible. I don't think, but he has to like be consistent at the minimum, because you can't have games where you drop 25 in game 1, then you drop 10 in game 2. Like you can't do that. He has to step it up. And in my mind, I'm thinking Harden is gonna be consistent throughout the series. So that said, I will say I think the Sixers will win in 6. I mean, it could go to 7. I mean, I don't know. It's a tough series, like you said. It's a really really bad matchup for the Sixers, but I'll go Sixers in 6.
When I looked at this series, this is not a good matchup for the Sixers. The last 2 games they played Toronto. Toronto did beat them, and James Harden struggled in both of those games.
Yeah,
I don't feel like I'm worried about Joel Embiid. I think he's gonna get his 30 in this series. Yes, we know also this is a team that shoots a lot of free throws. When the playoff starts, that's not something they're probably gonna get as much. This is one of the best defensive teams, I think, matchup wise. They guys, when James Harden, he dribbles a lot, Scotty
Yeah.
Barnes, they can put Anunoby, Pascal Siakam, Precious Achua. They got a lot of guys who are like over 6'8", just really tall defenders and an elite scoring. Fred VanVleet is an all-star. He can play. Pascal Siakam, most recently, he's been balling. And Pascal Siakam is actually a bad matchup for the Sixers because Pascal
Yeah.
Siakam's been playing really good against them. And then Scotty Barnes, man, like I told you, the defense that he brings, I know this is stretch when it comes to comparisons, really reminds me of a guy who can defend like a Kawhi Leonard. His defense is on
Yeah.
another level. This is going to be a really difficult series, but I'm going with the Philadelphia 76ers in 6 games as well.
Yeah.
The bottom line is I think James Harden to go out there and say that he had no pressure, I think that, and like that he has nothing to prove, I think that was wrong. That was completely wrong. He has a lot of pressure. To me, if we're talking about which player has the most pressure going into the postseason, it's James Harden. He's number one, no question. There's not even a close second. He has the most pressure, regardless of the situation. He left 2 situations. He left Houston and he left Brooklyn. People are going to say he quit or not, but that's what people look at. They think that he quitted
Yeah.
on those 2 teams, and now he's in Philly. The only reason Ben Simmons didn't get traded earlier is Daryl Morey wanted James Harden. If Joel Embiid gives me 30, James Harden gives me 25 points, 8 assists, they're going to win this series even without Thibault being there for 3 games. I don't have a question, Joel, that he won't show up because he will. It's about James Harden. His playoff stats are great. There's a lot of people say, oh, he struggles in playoffs. He does, but that's when it matters, crunch time. That's the
Yeah.
issue with James Harden. His playoff stats are phenomenal. I've seen a game 1, I think it was against Golden State when Kevin Durant was where he dropped 41. So he can score in the playoffs. It's just about those last 2-3 minutes, the pressure situations where he struggles a lot, and that's happened many times. So I'd say the Sixers will win this series in 6 games, like I said. It's going to be a really tough series, but I just think James Harden's going to show up and he's going to prove to the world why he's still a top 5 player in this league.
Yeah.
So moving on to the Western Conference. So the number 1 Phoenix Suns versus the number 8 New Orleans Pelicans. Who you got?
Yeah, I'm going with the Suns. I mean, uh, the Pelicans did take the Clippers out, and
We should have been here, Paul George. This COVID stuff, man, is crazy. We should have been here.
yeah,
But I don't think it would have changed the outcome of this series, whoever would have won.
yeah, honestly, yeah. Like I was saying, they took the Spurs out, and they took the
Clippers
Clippers
out
out.
without
Man,
Paul George. Just want to
it's
put that
tough,
out
I
there.
mean,
But
but
I'm not going to hate on them. They did deserve to win. Brandon Ingram, CJ McCollum are phenomenal players. It's so much
yeah,
fun to
I
watch
agree.
CJ in this role. I'm not going to hate on them. Obviously, I'm just speaking out of emotion. But go ahead.
Yeah, but all that being said, I think that the Suns will sweep the Pelicans.
What a
Honestly, I
statement.
mean, they're a good team, but I just think that the Suns have too much firepower on both ends of the floor, defensively, offensively, and I think they'll get past this team pretty easily.
I kind of agree. I'm actually just going to go Suns in 5.
Yeah,
I think the Pelicans will just win 1 game. They'll be at home. I think they'll win one of those games. But that's about it. That's the max. I could see it being a sweep. I wouldn't be stunned if it was a sweep. I'm gonna just go 5. I think CJ and Brandon could win you a game. They're really good. They were pretty battle tested, even though the Clippers were undermanned. The Clippers are a great defensive team, and Ingram, for him to ball out like that was pretty special. I think that's a good test for them. And CJ is a great player. So, I know he's in the West, but he can easily be an all-star every year. He's really talented. I think the Suns will win in 5. Yeah, I'll go with that. Like I said, obviously, Suns are the best team in the West. Record-wise, they've been great all season. They're going to win the series. Not going to be too competitive for them, but Pelicans are still a fun team to watch. It's fun to see this young team, a new exciting team. They haven't been in the playoffs for a while. So it's kind of cool to see them. But yeah, Suns in 5. We got the 2nd-seeded Memphis Grizzlies versus the 7th-seeded Minnesota Timberwolves.
I think this is going to be a good series to watch. Two young teams that are on the rise. I think they both have really high ceiling, high potential. Honestly, I do think that the Grizzlies will take the series. They're just a really complete team. And even without John Morant, this isn't even a discredit to him. It shows you how strong the roster is, that they can get it done without him, and with him, like, he pushed them over the top. I mean, like, he just makes them like an all-around elite team. Defensively, they're solid. Offensively, they're solid. Like, there's no real weakness in this team.
Only inexperience. That's about it.
Yeah, I feel like the only flaw is inexperience, but I guess they'll be kind of gaining that in this series. So I think either way, whatever happens for either team, it's a win-win. But with that being said, I do think that the Memphis Grizzlies will take this series. I think I'd say 5 or 6,
Okay.
because I don't want to discredit the Timberwolves. They're a solid team. And I feel like they can kind of push the Grizzlies, but I think the Grizzlies just have too much. So I think 5 or 6.
So this series is going to be interesting. Obviously, Clippers didn't win. A little sad about that against the Timberwolves. Patrick Beverley was talking a lot, but he earned that right. They beat him. So I think the Memphis Grizzlies are going to win in 6 games. There's not too much experience when it comes to postseason. The Timberwolves made it once.
Yeah.
That time they had Jimmy and Tibbs. Pat Beverly has the most playoff experience, I think, on that team. And now Memphis is not too much playoff experience as well. Steven Adams probably has one of the most playoff experience on that team.
Yeah.
So they're both inexperienced. So it's a good clash to see that, there's a chance both teams have a case at winning this. But I just think Memphis, like you said, is a complete team. They're not just Ja. They have a whole team. They're 20-3, I think, without him. That record's phenomenal for them to be that good. And they beat a lot of good teams even without him. This team is really solid without him. They had really small playoff experience last season when they beat Golden State in the play-in, and also they won one game against the Utah Jazz. But I just think Memphis, like you said, they're just complete. They're from 1 through 15. I feel like they're just solid. Everybody can play great. They got Dylan Brooks, Desmond Baines, who's been balling, John Morant, Steven. I just like their team. They got great
Yeah.
defense. They got home court. I just think Memphis is going to win in 6. I think Timberwolves will win 2 games because they got a lot of talent on that team. They really do. But Memphis is just better. That's just what it comes down to. They got a more complete team.
Yeah.
So just one more time, I'm going Memphis Grizzlies in 6 games. So the next matchup, the 3rd-seeded Golden State Warriors versus the 6th-seeded Denver Nuggets. Just before you say Steph Curry is expected to play game 1.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll be a good series to watch. Jokic doing what he does, the Warriors. Hopefully, everyone's putting 100%. I think the Warriors have this. I mean, I know Jokic is without some of his supporting cast for a while. I mean, I think he's done pretty well without them. But I feel like the Warriors here just overpowered them. I think the Warriors should win this in 5.
Nikola Jokic has been phenomenal all season long. Obviously, I don't think Jamal Murray's coming back. They haven't ruled
Yeah.
it out. But I'm going to go with the Golden State Warriors in 6 games. I think Curry coming back, if he comes back for game in which he's expected to, we got to see how he does. But I think Klay Thompson has been finding his strides at the right time. He literally scored 41 in his last game. Jordan Poole has been balling. He's making that push for most improved player. I know DeJounte Murray is your guy for that,
Yeah.
but he's making a real strong push for it. He's literally like the last, I don't know, since Curry's been out, every game giving me 25. He's been balling.
Yeah.
They're definitely going to extend his contract. They got to give him the most money they can. This guy is a legitimate star. He can be a star in this league. He's balling.
Yeah.
They got Draymond Green. I know they don't got, to me, Wiseman. It would be nice to see him, but Kuminga, Moses Moody, just a great overall team. Few of them been in the playoff situation, so it's a mix of young guys and vets. But I just think Golden State's too much. This is my pick for the West. I do think Denver will win 2 games in this series because of the greatness of Nikola Jokic. I think they're going to struggle to find a guy who can contain him. There could be games he might have those crazy stats of a 40 and 20. And also, one thing about Denver, their role players always play great. I told you, there's 4 franchises that I say that are good at
That's
developing
true.
talent. One is San Antonio, the Miami Heat, the Golden State Warriors, and Denver is another one. I just
I
think
agree.
Nikola Jokic, he's going to dominate. I think maybe Draymond you put on him, but Joker has the size advantage.
Yeah.
Or maybe Kuminga, you got to give some, but I just think Joker's going to get his advantage. But the bottom line is Golden State is talented from top to bottom. Unfortunately, Denver doesn't have Michael Porter Jr. or Jamal Murray. I got to stick with Golden State in 6. But Joker is having a phenomenal season, what he's been able to do. The 4th-seeded Dallas Mavericks versus the 5th-seeded Utah Jazz, a.k.a. Pretenders.
Now, I did believe I heard that Luka would be out for the first game.
Yeah, I'm not too sure because this is a big blow. That calf strain that he got against San Antonio. It's a big blow. That's
Yeah.
why a lot of teams decide to rest players. And it's crazy because he was suspended. He got the
That's
16
true,
tech,
yeah.
and he was not
Yeah,
going to
the
play
tick
against San
rescinded.
Antonio.
Yeah.
It got rescinded. But the reason I think Dallas played that he played that game because they had a shot at the 3rd seed. But once
Yeah,
the
I
Golden
think
State
so.
Warriors won, they couldn't get it.
Honestly, like, no disrespect to Jazz fans if there are Jazz fans, but I just want to say that I still think that the Mavs might be able to steal a game. And with Luka coming back, I mean, I think the series shifts to the Mavericks side, and I'm picking the Mavericks to win the series in 6. I mean, not that the Jazz aren't a good team. They've been a solid team. I just don't think they're good enough to, the greatness of Luka, the greatness of
I just hope if Luka comes back, even if he's 80%, I think that'd be good.
Yeah, I agree. The supporting cast is good. Dinwiddie is good.
Dinwiddie's been great for
Brunson
them.
is good.
Phenomenal. Yeah.
Kid, solid coach. I think he's improved in sets. He's taking the ball
Story
out of Luka's hands
Finney-Smith.
more. Yeah, great depth. And I think, like I said, the Jazz just aren't. I don't think they're good enough. Mavs in 6.
I can't deny that pick. You know how I feel about Utah all season long. I'm not a hater
Yeah.
of the Utah Jazz, but I've been calling them pretenders since day one, since
I mean,
they
they
lost
are.
to the Clippers. without Kawhi Leonard. Of course, I always bring it up because that's one of my big moments as a Clippers fan. We made it to our first conference finals.
Yep.
As a Kawhi fan, I understand I'm a player fan, but still, this series to me comes down to if Luka plays or not. Because if Luka, let's say Luka, worst case scenario, we don't really know the severity of his injury. The Mavs have not really released that statement.
Yeah.
But let's say if he's out the whole series, I mean, I think everybody's going to pick the Jazz then, right?
Yeah.
Would I be surprised if Dallas still won? Probably not. But remember when they played the Clippers, Kawhi played 4 games, right? He was only out
Yeah.
2. So if Luka misses the whole series, obviously I would pick the Jazz because Luka is that great of a player that, like, if he misses time, they don't have another legitimate star. They do have home court. I still think they would probably win 2 games. But my assumption is Luka comes back either it's game 3 or game 4. The Mavs will win this series in 6 games. No disrespect to Jazz. I actually would have said 4 or 5 games if Luka was available all these games. Because I don't think
Yeah.
the Utah Jazz have even a single chance in this series if Luka
Damn.
plays. Because I seen what Luka did against the Clippers, against great elite defenders.
Yeah, it's
He's
true.
playing Utah Jazz. They got nobody who can guard him on that team.
That's
Donovan
true.
Mitchell cannot stop him. Rudy Gobert, he got exposed before from Ty Lue in that game
Yeah.
6 when Terrence Mann, I don't know what he was going crazy. So to me, because of Luka being out for potentially 1 to 2 games, that's my estimation. I think he's going to miss 1 to 2 games. I think that's good. Not good that he misses the games, but let's say if he's 80 and he misses a game and now he's 100. I'd rather him be 100 coming back. You can miss a game, in my opinion, because they have home court and role players play better at home. It's proven
That's
fact.
true.
So I'm going to say the Mavs will win in 6 because of Luka's not sure whether he's going to play, but I do believe he'll be back at least by game 3. And that's my hope because if he's not back, we all know what the chances for the Mavs are in this series. Basically nothing.
Yep.
But if he comes back game 3, they're going to win in 6. Dallas is better, and the Utah Jazz probably going to have to blow it up.
I agree. I mean, what can they do? Like, there's only so much you can take being in the middle of the pack. Like, I think it's time for them to just like reset.
All right, so Josh, I hear you have a pick for who's coming out the East, who's coming out the West, who's going to win the NBA championship. Ooh, I want to hear this. I've been waiting for this pick. Let's hear it.
Yeah. So out the East, I'm picking the Brooklyn Nets. I mean, to me, it's a toss up between them or the Sixers. I mean, even the Bucks are in there, but I just think that with the dysfunction that's happening in Philly, who knows if they'll get it together in time. The Bucks, I mean, they're solid, but I'm going with the Nets this time to make it out the East. For the West, I'm picking the Warriors, and my finals matchup is Nets Warriors, and I'm picking the Warriors in 7 games.
Wow.
Book it.
Yes. You finally made the pick. I was waiting for this moment. I love this pick. We both agree that the Warriors are coming out the West, and the Brooklyn Nets cannot be mad at that pick. That's a great pick. But it seems like in the East you feel more like it's a up for grabs. Like
Yeah.
you're not too sure, but you're gonna lean towards the Brooklyn Nets.
Yeah.
I like that pick, but man, if the Nets are able to make it to the finals as a 7 seed, that'd be pretty incredible. I know, like, they're not really a 7 seed, but
Yeah.
I like that pick. Wow, you made your pick. You made your stand. You said
Finally.
book it. It's about time. It's tough, to predict these things. You never know
Yeah.
what can happen. The NBA is so crazy, but I like this pick. I think you picked 2 incredible teams, and let's see who gets it
Yeah.
right. Obviously, we both picked the Warriors. I picked Philly. You picked Brooklyn. Can't blame Brooklyn. Brooklyn waxed them. Let's not remember just recently. But yeah, good pick. I'm excited. Let's see what the other people think. Let's see when they hear it what you guys think. You agree with Josh or see what they say. But this concludes episode 19 of the Straight Sports Podcast. You can follow us on Instagram at Straight Sports Podcast. And this was a fun episode. We made our predictions. Let's see if you agree with us. Let us know. With our picks. And yeah, enjoy the playoffs. It's gonna be fun. Super excited. And it's a sad day for Clippers Nation and San Antonio Nation. We
Yep.
both took them L's. We're both out. But next season, the Spurs will be better. And Kawhi Leonard, PG, and we can sign everybody back. You better watch out for them Clippers because they coming. Hope y'all have a great rest of your day.
Thanks for watching. Peace.
Peace.